Hi, my name is Jaime Miguel Hodges Martinez. I am the owner of Red Hat Morelia, which is a marketing company out of Morelia, which is the capital of Michoacan. And my wife is helping me run that. That is here in the area of Mexico. I just wanted to explain a little bit my background and the experience that I have with marketing, customer service, sales, sales management, commercial management, what is cold calling, appointment setting, strategy of digital marketing, and how I obtained this knowledge. Now, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible so this video doesn't get too long. Basically, I am from a little bit from you. I'm from Orange County, California. I was born in Tijuana, Baja California, um, and my dad's from San Diego. My mom is from Sonora, Caborca. I am 56 years old and married. Now, I have a little marketing company which is working, my wife is working here in Morelia, Michoacan. Where we reside is a small tourist town in the capital of Michoacan, like I said. And we do remote work basically for the States. I've been doing it for about 12 to 15 years. Remote is I've been working for the States. Now, to explain to you a little bit of what I do, I studied database management in 2000, which helps me create applications, database management applications. Okay, that was my original study. After that, the database management got a little weak. I was able to get some customers. I had some clients that I developed systems for. And then I went into marketing. I was always a good salesperson. I was always a good closer. So I went into a marketing company and I started working first as a front end and then as a closer. But we'll get into that right now. In First of all, the type of development that I do, like I said, is database management. Basically, what's database management? Is something that you work in Excel to keep your information, your data, and you analyze it. Well, we created in a little application where you just push buttons and fill in form fields. Okay, so it looks just like an application. It doesn't look no longer like Excel. And the systems work in a lot of scenarios in a lot of different type of businesses. And I'll walk it through it a little bit. As you see the screen, Santander Bank, a friend of mine worked in Santander Bank. She worked in the recovery department, and they had multiple Excel tables, one for credit cards, one for loans, for personal loans, one was for guarantees that they would get from the FDIC for a certain type of loan, and the other one would be for house loans. Okay, and these would all come in. Whoever would fall in default, they would provide this information through an Excel sheet. They would download it to Excel, so they were working with 5 or 6 different Excel sheets, plus the one that they created is to keep the records on it. So my friend came home and she said, "Hey, we're working this way. We got a bunch of tables, and sometimes people who they owe a credit card, and they also a car, and they also something else, and there are 3 different databases. So sometimes they would collect for the car, and then they can collect for the house, the bigger loan. So it would become quite problematic not to have everything combined. So I developed for Santander Bank a database system where it combined all this information. So anytime they would look for a debtor, it would come up if they owe credit, if they owe a credit card, if they owe a car, if they owe a house, all the information on all these different loans, if they had a guarantee on the loan. So now in one interface, they had all the information and all their notes and the statuses, and they called it Thelma after my friend's daughter. And my friend took this to her leader in Santander, and it ended up being that I needed to go to Santander. And in Santander, gave me an appointment with the IT department so that they could create this application, and now it's nationwide in Santander Bank. That's one. Greenberg. Rainbird irrigation, that was in Tijuana, Mexico. This was the production line for all the Rainbird sprinklers that would be either for farms or whatever, parks or homes. It, I was a missionary in Tijuana, and I just worked there. When I went into Rainbird, I was working in production, just mold machine, taking out, cleaning out, moving, just regular job. The night manager found out that I knew how to create systems. They had a systems department that had people like about 25 or 26 people that were American and were specialists. However, since it was nighttime, he said, hey, can you create me something that would help me monitor production? There were 130 molding machines. So I can monitor all of them in one system. I said yes. So from that point on, when I would go to work, instead of being on a molding machine, he would send me over to a room. And I started creating a database management system where all the molding machines, everybody would key in their input and it would come into one report. And I did the 130 machines. After that, they wanted me to do also the other irrigation part, which would be the assembly line. So I did this for Rainbird, which is a huge company here in Mexico. It's called Tyco. The next one was Cover King. Cover King has a facility in Tijuana that creates, it's called Mora para Autos. I was hired to train the employees on an ERP open source system. The owners of Cover King are from India. So all management was from India. All IT department was from India. The Open ERP was a platform that you would buy the license just if they would need to help you. It was open source, so they were modifying it so they could use it in the assembly line, from the cutters to the sewers to the stitcher the to the point where they shipped. There were bras and car covers and stuff like this. When they hired me so that I could train them to use the system that they were developing on this ERP system. As I saw the ERP system was very difficult to modify because it was a web-based system. And they were having a lot of problems to adapt it to the need that they had it. I began to play around with it and build the system on Visual Basic that was client-based, that was much simpler. It was local. And then little by little, they stopped the open source ERP and I started developing this system for them. They had offices in San Diego and Tijuana, and they all worked kind of together. I was building it, and first of all, I built it next to the ERP open source, and they would capture on both of them, but then they were only capturing on mine, and they left the other one. So I got to develop that further. Aceves and Associates is a law firm that works for the bank. They needed a system where they could go to the court and pull up any document on their phone that they needed, whether it was a lawsuit, a contract, and this would be centralized in a server. I created that for them, personalized, so that they could at any place enter their documents, enter information, whether it was the runner at the court, whether it was the lawyer at the courtroom, the information would automatically come back and forth. And how they translate, I was quality control, OEM quality control supervisor, which was of the whole plant. It was about 1,500 people. My job was to make sure that the lines, the quality control supervisors in each line of production would be following their job, and that they would be handling the guaranteed transmissions of the new cars. When they would fail, they would go to this facility, they would disassemble them, and then they would reassemble them and ship them back to the dealer as new. My job was the OEM department, but I started creating a system to be able to monitor how many times the transmission would go through, whether it would or not. So this is the type of projects, they weren't small projects, but these are the type of projects that I am able to do. Meaning that if you're working on Excel or if you don't have anything, I can go into your business, we could see your process, walk through it, and then I can automate it so that you will have something connected between all of them, whether it be HTML or Visual Basic, whether it be Access. I could create something, and I've done it for some pretty big people. So then I get into marketing. That was the base of my business and repairing. Um, I also do what's called maintenance on laptops, format them, and it, change a disk drive, a display, and I did maintenance also on the equipment. So that's another thing that I do. Okay. Now, when I got into marketing, uh, I was offered a job. I've always been good at sales. Sales has always been something that's good. Customer service, sales, and technical support have been a second nature to me to be able to talk to people. I love talking to people. I don't feel like you're selling something. I feel like you're trying to help them. So it's not something that really bothers me to do. I kind of like selling. I don't think it's you're trying to solve somebody's problem basically. So I've been a seller since 25 years ago, and so to me it comes natural. From there, program design technologies was my first business, which was program design technologies because it concentrated on um, systems that I would create, whether it would be a point of sale, whether it would be an inventory system, whether it would be a production system or a CRM, I would create for different companies in order for them to keep control. And after that, I was asked to start doing marketing by local customers. And since I understood the concept, I started doing marketing, but at that time it was premature. So then I got involved as a closer in online local search, and this worked on a system where we had a front end and a back end, the closer. What would happen is the front end, you would sell something inexpensive to the customer, you would set up an appointment to activate it, and in that appointment to activate it, you'd sell them a bigger package. At this point, what we would sell them would be the listing on Alexa and Samsung Bixby. And we would sell them that package for $5.99 to be listed on all the voice systems. And then we would say, hey, we can, we need to set an appointment so I can activate you. And on the activation, the closer, we're offering a website, SEO, the bigger package, campaigns and stuff like that. I started on front end, which was selling the Alexa and all those, and I did real good. And then they put me as a closer, and I did real good. We had a customer base of about 863 customers that were in this system. Upgraded, I'm not too sure how many upgraded to the bigger packages, but I'm sure it was about 150. The problem here, everybody work remote, when you get into that type of volume and you don't have the capacity, well, you're definitely turning people. They sit there 3 months, they'll pay you, and then they figure out it doesn't work, then they'll leave you. And that's the revolving cycle that we were in online local search. And since people as a salesperson, they trust you, you begin to feel guilty because you're selling something they're never going to get. So then I stopped with them, and that's the reason I stopped with them. And I started working with the Build Group, which is a construction company in sales. And the system they would have, they would throw Facebook ads, Google ads, people would call, set up an appointment, we'd send somebody to do the measurements, take all the information, get the measurements, pass it to the architect department. They would do a draft, they would do a quote, we would quote the customer the job, and then we would close it, and then the project department would execute the job. That's the way that worked. Well, as a sales, I did good. First month, I was placed as supervisor of the sales department, which is a team of four. And I worked as the sales manager for like 2 months, 3 months, till our marketing guy quit. When the marketing guy quit, we had a team. We had a graphic design person, a person who handled social media, a person who handled the Google ads. But the Google ad guy kind of superseded everybody else. He would tell them what to do. So then the owner asked me, hey, you know how to do the marketing? I said, yeah, I'll help you out. So I started doing the Google ads. I started scheduling the Facebook ads, ordering what we needed to do. At this point, they weren't using a CRM that's called Go High Level, which is a very complete CRM. I introduced that CRM to that company. We started doing SMS campaigns, email campaigns. I trained all the salespeople how to use it. I installed it. I configured it, and then the owner tells me, "Hey, I have two other companies, just calzone de beach removal. Dumpster Pro was not born yet," and he tells me, "Could you handle calzone de beach removal?" So then I started doing the marketing and the sales managing indirectly for both companies, and we were doing some real good numbers. From there, he says, the owner says, I want to open another one, which is Dumpsters Pro. And I wanted to compete with that sign. So we opened Dumpster Pro. Dumpster Pro did $100,000 in the first month, which was, tremendous. We followed the same system. Through Go High Level, we were able to run all three companies, run all three sales teams. And these three companies, I was able to keep them on a steady raise of 25%, 20 to 25% per year. The problem that would happen with these three companies is because we were selling, the amount 300, 350, which is basically nothing, but enough to where the owner would have $1.6 million out in projects, then he would not be able to pay his employees, because he had so much capital out there running the projects, and it got a little bit difficult because we wouldn't get our paycheck on time, so that had to stop. After that, I went to work for Empire State Kitchens and Bath. On this particular one, I introduced Go High Level. I generated the strategy and he owns Empire State Kitchen. He owns, the same owner owns American HVAC Pros, which all these are still there, and American Roofing Expert, which everything's still there. And I created the strategy, did everything. The problem that happened there is for this type of work, which is construction or anything, kitchen, usually it gets expensive, the Google campaigns, because they're too high, the cost of the bids. But we were just starting, but the customer did not want to spend very much on that, and there were all three companies I did by myself, and there was nobody helping me in the producing of the Facebook pages, the postings. So we went into another business, him and I, and we kind of put on hold anything to do with that, but I already had created everything so that he just needed to run the campaigns. All this work is there. If you go look for their websites, their Facebook pages, everything's there. After this, I went on a page called Overpass. I don't want to make publicity for them. Actually, you're having a problem right now, because they would take companies that were startups and say, hey, we got employees that can do miracles, so very nice people, very great wages. They got me into a company called Win Agency. It was a startup. They had one in Brazil that was already working, but they wanted to enter the New York market. We created the whole strategy. I did start the whole strategy. I put in Go High Level. The only problem there is they didn't have the funds to continue. Something happened that the owner didn't have the funds to continue there, but everything's there. You can go look for in agency, Facebook, website, everything's there. And the problem here is that when you start an agency, you're really your most, even though a lot of the things that you use are free, you are going to need to spend some money. And if you don't have money, paying me $15 an hour basically gets you the strategy, right? But I can't focus on the sales and the strategy at the same time, because if you're trying to sell something to a customer but you don't have a website, or if you're trying to sell social media management but you don't have social media, it's really hard, to convince a customer. So that was put on hold because of the situation. But everything's there. The work that we did, she was the creator, because she was the owner was awesome with the graphic design. I would just give her the idea of what we needed, and then she had also a team in Brazil. The lack of funds are what's keeping that on hold. Gap Industries, then I went to Gap Industries. Gap Industries purchased a license of Go High Level, reseller license, where he could sell it, and also through Overpass. I got hired with Gap. He wanted me to create the strategy so that he could start selling the CRM and the services. I did. You can see the Facebooks, you can see the LinkedIn, you can see all the work, the website, everything's there. What happened with Gap is that he was sold that this particular CRM sells itself. And that's not necessarily true. You do have to invest money. You do have to do campaigns. You do have to teach people, because it's a very awesome CRM. I mean, I recommend it highly to any agency. I recommend it to anybody. It's a very complete CRM for marketing. The thing is that you need to learn how to use it. And so he got a little frustrated because a one-man show, I mean, I got as much as I could done, but we still needed to spend money on ads. And so I had told him when he hired me that I had another job pending that was a little bit better, that was very much better. So I went ahead and I just set him all up, and he was ready to go. He hired somebody else, I believe, and they're doing fine. City Lead Marketing Group is another startup. All the work is there. They're redoing the page right now. Video editing and all this. The sister company, which was to Red Hat Morelia. You can go see the work. It's there. All it is to build campaigns and start running them. And so what basically I do is, you want to start an agency, I can set everything up. And I can run something, but you got to remember, you have to have a budget to be able to, a one-man show. I can do a one-man show with Red Hat because I don't expect to grow more than my capability, right? I have my wife, which helps me with Red Hat. That's why I can work with another company. But your capabilities depend on the man hours, on who you have available and what they're able to do. This remote working is awesome because you can have a team of 5 working on your company at the same time. But you do need, because it's not that marketing is complicated. There is special techniques that give you better results, but it's the time you invest creating these things that you need manpower. You need manpower, you need money. So Gap Industries, I believe they had somebody else and they start going, but I set up, everything's there. All the work I did is there. And City Lead Marketing, the same thing. Just rebuilding. They're rebuilding right now the website. So this is basically what I do. I can design from the salesman structure, whether it's be cold calling, SMS, Facebook leads, the CRM configuration, email campaigns. I can do the website. I can sell. It doesn't matter where you put me. I can be whatever you want me to be. I can do it. It depends what you need, right? And then on the sales part of it, if you go, Integradora para el Desarrollo Rural is a nonprofit organization. I believe this was where I really, really excelled in learning a product I had no knowledge about, which was organic products, bio products for the farms, for the crops. So on this particular one, they gave me products that would help the crops so we could reduce the chemicals being used in the farms. So I studied this on my own. They just gave me the products, said, okay, you need to go open distributors, you need to sell, you got Jalisco, that's your state. So they just gave me a quick run around of what the products did, right? So I had to investigate, what was best, and I ended up being pretty knowledgeable. I was able to give courses to engineers, agriculture engineers in colleges of how to turn crop fields into organic crop fields. I opened distributors. I would have conferences in different communities. I would watch all the people that, for example, I would go to the distributor, they would have a farmer that needed help. I would actually go with him and actually see his crop, see how the product is working and also recommend what he needed to do. They gave me Jalisco. I did real good with Jalisco. Then I went to Aguascalientes and Colima. Originally it was just Jalisco. And before I left that company, I was actually going to be Zacatecas. But Zacatecas is real dangerous, so I didn't. Actually, at that point, things were getting real dangerous, and I was out on the farm with a Toyota pickup truck, and they really wanted. So, at the time, my partner said, "You know what? You're risking too much." Even though I was making good money, I was able to convert about 15,000 acres of farmland into organic crops, which I think is a good number. And after that, well, I went to language design. In language design, they have an excellent training program. I was an L3 interpreter first, so that basically does all kind of interpretation, insurance, uh, you know, doctor's offices, police department, social service. And then in 3 or 4 months, I got so good that they made me an L4 medical interpreter. And I started doing just medical hospitals, surgery rooms, and all these type of interpretations. So this is roughly when you combine all this experience, I can basically help any company create the strategy, design it, put it in place, and execute it. I can create a post, I can create a website, I can sell, I can train a team of salespeople, I can do cold calls, I can, set up a dialer, write the scripts, do a Google ad, do a Facebook ad. These are my capabilities. And so much so that I'm training my wife so that she can do the agency in the Mexico side. She doesn't speak English, so that she can continue with that process. Well, I roughly ran a little bit, so what I'm capable of and I can help you with. I have a passion for what I do, so I think that passion that I have, I will adapt it to what you need. Red Hat Morelia will not affect anything I have to do with you guys because I just am that way. I put 40 to 60, 70 hour weeks in all the companies because I have a passion for what I do. And I hope this helps you understand where I'm coming from, and I hope you have an excellent day and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.